China's cities are testing a cooling strategy that goes far beyond air conditioners, and the results are changing how engineers think about heat management altogether. A road in southern China gets hot enough to soften the soles of your shoes, and even after sunset, it keeps radiating heat. This is the starting point for understanding why Chinese cities have moved past traditional cooling. China's hottest summers on record have forced its cities to rethink cooling completely. Instead of treating heat as an individual problem, engineers began designing entire cities to stay cooler. The first method involves evaporative misting systems, now deployed across crowded streets in Chinese cities. The system pushes water through nozzles so fine that the resulting mist evaporates before reaching the ground. Evaporation requires energy, and that energy is drawn from the surrounding air, lowering the local temperature. In a matter of minutes, a system like this can pull the local temperature down by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. This occurs in open outdoor spaces such as intersections and public streets, not sealed rooms. Because the droplets are so fine, they evaporate before landing, so pedestrians walking through the mist remain dry. A traditional air conditioner compresses refrigerant and runs a heavy compressor, while a misting system requires only a pump and water, using a small fraction of the electricity. The second method is weather modification through cloud seeding, and China operates the largest program of its kind in the world. This approach became critical during the summer of 2022, when China experienced its strongest and longest heat wave in modern records, lasting past 60 days, and breaking temperature records that had stood since national record-keeping began in 1961. The Yangtze River dried up in places during this period, and hydropower plants in Sichuan dropped to a fraction of normal output, forcing factory shutdowns. The technique relies on silver iodide, a chemical whose crystal structure closely resembles ice, causing water vapor in clouds to freeze around it and fall as rain. China deploys rockets fired from the ground, anti-aircraft guns, aircraft, and drones to distribute the chemical into cloud layers. During the 2022 crisis, China deployed a Winglong drone, a large unmanned aircraft originally built for military work, over the skies of Sichuan. On a single flight lasting several hours, the drone burned through 20 silver iodide flame bars, covering thousands of square kilometers. Cloud seeding only works when moisture already exists within clouds, and it cannot generate rainfall from a clear sky, but it can trigger rain from clouds already holding moisture, cooling the air directly while refilling depleted rivers and reservoirs. The third method draws from architecture dating back roughly 1,000 years, known in Mandarin as Tianjing or Sky Well. This design appears in traditional homes across southern and eastern China as a tall, narrow, enclosed courtyard running through the center of the building and opening to the sky. Hot air rises inside the sky well and escapes through the top, pulling cooler air in through the lower rooms, creating a self-powered ventilation system without any moving parts. Studies of skywell homes in southern China have measured the space inside running significantly cooler than the air outside by several degrees on a hot day. Craftsmen who have spent more than 30 years restoring these homes are recognized by the government as holders of intangible cultural heritage. Engineers have since scaled the same airflow principle into modern construction. In Guangdong province, a 68-story tower was built with internal vertical channels that carry natural airflow through the structure, cooling floors without depending entirely on mechanical systems. The fourth method addresses the pavement itself. Traditional black asphalt has a reflectance of only around 5 to 10%, meaning it absorbs roughly 90% or more of the solar energy that hits it. On a hot summer afternoon, this surface can climb past 60 degrees Celsius, and in some locations, past 70 degrees Celsius, hot enough to injure skin on contact. This stored heat radiates back into the air long after sunset, contributing to what scientists call the urban heat island effect. Cities including Guangzhou and Shenzhen have resurfaced roads with cool pavements, combining solar reflective coatings, thermal blocking paints, and porous materials that hold moisture for evaporative cooling. Field tests on these coatings have measured road surface temperatures dropping by roughly 7 to 14 degrees Celsius compared to ordinary black asphalt under the same sun. The fifth method involves a passive radiative cooling paint that requires no electricity to function. The coating reflects nearly all incoming sunlight while also emitting heat as infrared radiation within a specific wavelength band that passes through the atmosphere directly into space rather than being reabsorbed nearby. This dual function allows a coated surface to lose heat faster than the sun can add it, in some cases dropping the surface temperature below that of the surrounding air even in full sunlight. A team based in Hong Kong developed a commercial version of this paint. On a rooftop under direct sun, it has cut surface temperatures dramatically compared to an uncoated roof and pushed indoor temperatures down by around 10 degrees Celsius. This translates into cooling energy savings that can approach 40%, and the coating has since been applied across hundreds of projects in dozens of countries. The sixth method is district cooling, exemplified by a plant operating in the Qianhai area of Shenzhen. Rather than equipping each building with its own air conditioning unit, this plant produces chilled water on an industrial scale and distributes it through insulated pipes running beneath the streets to buildings throughout the district. Each building absorbs cooling from the water, which then returns to the plant to be chilled again, eliminating the need for individual chillers. One system like this can cool close to 3 square kilometers of public buildings. By consolidating cooling into one optimized plant instead of thousands of scattered units, the Qianhai system is reported to save around 130 million kilowatt-hours of electricity every year, equivalent to burning roughly 16,000 tons of coal, while keeping approximately 130,000 tons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere annually. Fewer individual machines also means less refrigerant released into the environment, since refrigerants rank among the most potent greenhouse gases produced. The seventh method targets people directly in open public spaces where no building can provide relief. Autonomous outdoor cooling units have been installed at bus stops, transit stations, and busy public squares, generating streams of cool air in locations where people wait and gather. Many of these units run on solar panels, meaning the periods of peak heat, when cooling is needed most, coincide with peak solar generation, drawing little or nothing from the electrical grid. The eighth and final method is personal wearable cooling technology, now widespread throughout China. This category includes devices worn around the neck that blow cool air across the skin, handheld fans equipped with built-in water misters, and jackets or vests with battery-powered fans sewn into the fabric. The more advanced neck coolers press a metal plate against the back of the neck, behind which sits a solid-state cooling chip. Cool the blood at the neck, and you help cool the whole body. These devices target a location where blood circulation runs close to the skin's surface, allowing localized cooling to affect overall body temperature. Heat stroke is not a minor thing, it kills. A wearable cooler that an individual can carry and activate the moment heat becomes dangerous functions as a line of defense for large populations who work, commute, and live outdoors during extreme heat. A role that centralized systems like district cooling plants or reflective roads cannot fill in the same direct, personal way. Across all 8 methods, from drones seeding clouds in the sky to cooling devices worn against human skin, the underlying approach treats heat management as infrastructure built at the scale of an entire city rather than as a problem addressed one sealed room at a time.
You have been stuck in traffic your whole life. Every single person on this planet has sat in a car, stared at a red light, and thought, there has to be a better way. For 70 years, flying cars were a joke, a broken promise. Something your grandfather was told was coming soon in 1955. Scientists drew pictures of it. Hollywood made movies about it. And every single time, nothing happened. The roads stayed full, the skies stayed empty. But while everyone was busy scrolling through their phones, a factory in Guangzhou, China, quietly finished something that should not exist yet. Not a drawing, not a video, not a coming in 2030 announcement, a real machine, rolling off a real assembly line, right now. The science fiction label just died. Let's start with the vehicle that is making American engineers lose sleep. It is called the Land Aircraft Carrier. It is made by Xpeng Aero HT, which is connected to Xpeng, one of China's biggest electric car companies, and the name alone tells you everything. On the ground, it looks like a Cybertruck had a baby with a lunar rover. 6 massive wheels, a long, strong body, the kind of thing that looks like it belongs on the moon, not in a parking lot. You can drive it anywhere a normal car goes. Grocery store, camping trip, a mountain road at 2 in the morning. It drives like a van. But if you open the back, there is a 2-person flying pod sitting inside. A compact drone, built for 2 people, folded neatly into the rear of the vehicle like a secret. When you are ready to fly, the back opens up, the arms unfold like a mechanical insect waking up, and the pod lifts straight into the sky. No runway, no airport, no complicated controls. The company says you can learn to fly it in under 5 minutes. 7,000 people have already pre-ordered one. The first units rolled off the production line in Guangzhou in late 2025. Deliveries are targeting late 2026. The price sits between $30,000 and $400,000. Yes, that is a wide range. But remember, the first smartphones cost a small fortune too. The land aircraft carrier is impressive, but it is not even the most advanced part of this story. Meet the EH216S, made by EHang, a company based in Guangzhou, and this one does not need a driver at all. It looks like someone took a giant drone and decided to make it comfortable. 16 propellers, 8 arms, 2 seats, a 270-degree glass cockpit that feels like sitting inside a giant GoPro. There is no steering wheel, no pedals, no pilot. You sit down, the route is already programmed, and the machine just goes. It lifts straight up, climbs to about 100 meters, flies its preset path at up to 130 kilometers per hour, then lands itself. The passenger's only job is to not look down. Or, if you are brave, to look down and enjoy every second of it. The EH216S has already completed over 80,000 safe flights. Before it was ever allowed to carry a paying customer, China's Civil Aviation Administration put it through more than 450 different tests. Extreme cold, extreme heat, simulated battery fires, intentional hardware failures. They tried to break it in every way they could imagine. It passed every single one. In October 2023, China made history. They issued the world's first type certificate for an autonomous passenger-carrying aircraft. That means an official government body looked at this pilotless machine and said in writing, yes, this is safe enough to carry human beings. No country had ever done that before. Not the United States, not Germany, not Japan. China was first. Then, in early 2025, EHang went further. They received the world's first air operator certificates for a pilotless electric aircraft. As EHang's chief operating officer Zhao Wang said, large central cities in China are on the verge of entering the era of urban air taxi flight scenarios. In 2024, the Chinese government put this in their official national work report, right next to electric vehicles and renewable energy. When China puts something in that report, it is not a suggestion. Money flows. Local governments get evaluated on it. Policies get built around it. By 2025, there were already 57,000 companies operating in this space across China. The government set an economic target for the sector of 1.5 trillion yuan for 2025 alone. By 2035, that number is expected to reach 3.5 trillion yuan. That is not a startup dream. That is a national strategy with a price tag. City governments are already building vertiports, landing pads, charging stations, One district in Shenzhen already has 15 vertiport locations built and ready. Ehang alone has over 40 takeoff and landing points set up across the country, with plans to expand into Zhuhai, Shenzhen, Taiyuan, Wuxi, Wenzhou, and Wuhan. On the 31st of December 2025, the EH-216S flew across the Qiongzhou Strait, a crossing that normally takes between 60 and 90 minutes by ferry. The flying taxi did it in 18 minutes. Travel time cut by nearly 80%. Imagine calling an app, and instead of a Toyota Prius pulling up to the curb, a giant drone quietly lands on the rooftop above you, no driver, no conversation. Just you and the skyline for 8 minutes, and then you are across the city. Ehang's vice president, He Tianxing, says that by 2028 to 2030, this will be ordinary life. Residents can book an unmanned aerial vehicle via a mobile app at a price close to that of ground luxury ride-hailing services, usable daily and available at any time. Hundreds of routes, hundreds of landing points, in the same city, just part of how people get around.
Good afternoon, Monterey Tower. Experimental 545 Juliet X-ray. We're out of Marina Flight of 2 inbound for Monterey.
The United States has flying car companies too: Joby Aviation, Archer, Whisk. These are serious companies with serious engineers and serious funding. They have built impressive machines. Some of them have done real test flights. But almost all of them are still waiting. Waiting for the FAA to approve their vehicles, waiting for airspace rules, waiting for infrastructure, waiting for someone to say officially, yes, you can fly this over a city. In June 2023, China released clear rules for unmanned aircraft, clear guidelines, a real path to certification. The US, on the other hand, has focused its regulations mainly on aircraft that still have a human pilot on board. The FAA has been cautious, careful, and slow. Tu Lei, founder of auto industry consultancy Sino Auto Insights, said the US has been falling behind due to overregulation, lobbying from competing industries, or just plain politics. Meanwhile, China created low-altitude economy zones, regions where companies can apply, test, certify, and operate. The process that takes years in Washington can move in months in Guangzhou. Dan Ives, global head of technology research at Wedbush Securities, called China's certification a major development and shot across the bow, showing technology innovation is accelerating. He added that flying taxis represent one of the next frontiers for the auto and tech industry, and that China has already created a clear lead. The global eVTOL market is expected to be worth $30 billion over the next decade. Whoever controls the certification standards, the supply chains, and the operating systems for that industry will not just be selling vehicles, they will be setting the rules for how cities move. The US was watching, China was building, now the sky is open. And it is not just talk. The EH-216S has now flown in 21 countries across 5 continents. It has completed demonstration flights in Qatar, Rwanda, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Thailand, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, every flight is another government seeing it work. Another regulator thinking about certification, another city thinking about vertiports. EHang is not waiting for the world to come to them. But let's step back from the technology for a second and think about what this really means for regular people. Every major city on Earth has the same problem. Too many cars, not enough road, you cannot build your way out of it. Every new highway fills up with new traffic within years. City planners have known this for decades and had no real answer. The sky above cities is almost completely empty below 1,000 meters. No traffic jams at 300 meters, no potholes, no red lights. A trip that takes 45 minutes on the ground could take under 10 minutes by air. For cities, that changes everything. For rural areas, it changes even more. In China's mountains and countryside, there are communities that are hours away from the nearest hospital by road, hours away from markets, schools, services. An air connection that takes minutes instead of hours does not just save time, it saves lives. It closes the gap between people who live near cities and people who do not. He Tianxing said that the goal is for air taxis to be truly integrated into the daily travel ecosystem by the end of the decade. Not a luxury, not a tourist gimmick, daily life. So is the United States losing? Not exactly. American companies have incredible engineers. Joby and Archer are building real vehicles with real safety standards. Boeing and Airbus are investing. The technology in American labs is world-class. But technology sitting in a lab is not the same as technology flying over a city. China is not winning because their engineers are smarter. They are winning because their government said yes faster, their factories moved quicker, and their companies started shipping while others were still filing paperwork.